Welcome to the SNR Podcast, where freedom for the mind, body, and soul takes center stage. We're here to break down the system, expose the truth, and inspire real change. From the state-national movement to uncovering how the government's just a corporation, to diving deep into the Federal Reserve's hold over the world, we're here to give it to you straight. But it's not just about exposing corruption. We're also bringing you the tools to heal with meditation, breath work, and natural healing practices that help elevate your life. We're loud, we're edgy, and yeah, we're funny as hell. Steve's got jokes, Kenny's got the research, and Ashley's keeping us organized, while Gwen's here to inspire both the young and the wise. This is the SNR Podcast.
I can hear my cat. When I started clapping, I heard my cat just run away from the door. All right, so I'm going to go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of the SNR Podcast. I am your vivacious and borderline attractive host, Steve Barty, joined with Ashley, Kenny, and Gwen, who are sucking all the sexy out of the room right now. Thank you for that. So I won't go into details about all of the technical issues it seems that I have created. So we're just going to move. We're just going to move right past that. So we've got it resolved. Everything's good to go, and we are here to do a quick recap of episode 1, which no one's seen yet, so I haven't posted it yet. So yeah, I could probably just skip the recap then, right? It hasn't even gone up yet, so let's just forget about that. So this week, what we want to devote the whole show to is, and you guys can attest to this more than I can, but you have a list of commonly asked questions that I would say newbies or people who are new or unaware of the state national movement or what your organization, what your ministry is. So what we want to do tonight is go over the remainder of those questions as time allows. Ashley is under the impression this will take 2 episodes. Kenny and I have the virility and energy of a hyena on methamphetamine, so we think we can get it done in 1 episode. We're going to find out soon. So I'd like to exercise anything because I didn't work out today and I feel like a fat slob. So any exercise is good on my end. So without further ado, folks, please say hello, greet your fans, your guests, your admirers, primarily me, and let's get rolling with who is responsible for number 1.
I will take number 1, Steve, and this is what we got. Why should someone become a state national? And basically, it's very simple. All that means is you want to restore the republic. That's it. If you want to restore the constitutional republic, that's all you're doing. You claim your right back to your, nationality, which would be the state that you're born in. And, the states are free and sovereign nations the moment that we say they are. That's why when people said their Pledge of Allegiance, to the republic, that's the republic. So it's very simple. If you want to restore the republic, that requires you, the individual, to know your constitutional rights and to be willing to stand up for them when an encroachment or a violation or a mandate or whatever, close the businesses down, but Walmart stays open. If you disagree, well, it sounds like you're already a state national. So that's all it is. It's just restoring yourself to the republic, 1 member at a time. And the more that we educate our brothers and sisters, we all restore the republic. So it's very simple. It gets confusing. There's a lot of people with different ideas, different concepts. Not everybody says it the same. Some people are angry about it. Some people are cool about it. Some people don't know enough about it. It's just it's very simple. You just restore the republic within yourself, and that's all it is. Now watch out, Mike. So to it, it does take learning and that's probably the hardest part. As you learn, you kind of get confused because there's so much contradicting information. But when you get to the source of it or the heart of it all, when you get it better, the heart, all you're doing is you're restoring yourself to the republic. That's it. And you want to revive that through knowledge.
Kenny, could you just elaborate a little bit for those who aren't aware of the difference between our democracy, which we're not even supposed to be a democracy, and the republic? Just give them a quick recap for those who aren't familiar with the difference.
So a democracy is when people don't know their constitutional rights and they elect people. If you don't know what your constitutional rights are, how it works, what it's meant to be, and you go electing people, that's a democracy. Because what happens is they'll create a law that violates your constitutional rights. And because we just don't know, we let it happen. And the perfect example of our generation of seeing that happen is the lockdowns. So in the past, they done this. That's how they removed the gold. They didn't know their constitutional rights. They did the Panic of 1907, and then, they boom installed the Federal Reserve. So people lost a major right because of a panic. And so that's the same thing as today. We lost a fundamental right, closing down our businesses, accepting our number one form of nutrition being shut off, which is oxygen, and we accepted that through fear. So what happens for a democracy is you let fear control you and you just vote and you basically don't know your constitutional rights and how that's supposed to work. A state national or someone who's a member of the republic does know those rights and is willing to stand up united against the tyrannical government or, any politician, county commissioner, it doesn't matter, mayor, anyone who wants to violate that, you will stand up for it. And that's all it is. It's an awareness of your constitutional rights, of how the Constitution works and what it means. Like it's just a contract and we uphold that contract. We're like, no breaching our contracts. You have to fall in line with the foundation. It's enumerated, through our Bill of Rights. And people who are aware of that, that's how you would affect and be an actual republic, because the republic is only as strong as the people in it. And if we just don't know our rights and we go and vote, that's a democracy, and that's what they want. So that's how a republic converts over, is just lack of knowledge, and that's it. It's not.
Can I add in there something real quick?
Yes, you can.
That even now at this point, with what everyone's seen, that even the democracy at this point is an illusion, because you may think you can go vote, but the truth is, with all of the voting machines that they have now, unless it goes back to a paper and pen system that literally they have people counting it, the democracy is even an illusion at this point. So even though we're not a democracy, but what you think is like you're even voting for isn't even real either, because they control who they put in power for those positions, because they're stealing every election to put who they want in there. So it's just an illusion as well.
And I would also like to add something. That is because the government is actually a corporation, and the real people that get to vote on who they put in is the shareholders of that corporation, not the people.
Yeah.
The little businesses working for the corporation.
At this point in the podcast, Kenny, I know the video I'm going to clip in is with the politicians sitting outside. We need to maintain this corporation known as the United States of America. I'm absolutely going to cut that clip in.
To both of you, to General Milley, do you think that these documents should be turned over to the United States Congress? And do you think that both General Donahue and Admiral Vasely should testify before Congress?
Sure, I absolutely do. I believe transparency. You're the board of directors for this corporation called the American government. And I believe that you're entitled to those within the bounds of classification. You're the board of directors for this corporation called the American government.
West, is it time for the government to be shut down if the White House and Congress can't agree, in order to force the president's hand and compel him to do what we hired him to do, which is run the government within the confines of the Constitution and only with the money he collects from taxes and other fees?
Well, you're absolutely right, Judge. What we have to look at is the president is the chief executive officer of this corporation called the United States of America. Look, he told the vice president that he would be part of this budget process, but now the vice president has left the country. So I don't think you see any seriousness coming out of the White House. The bottom line is this: we have a situation that we have to deal with, and I think that the American people, if we continue down the road of subsequent 2-week CRs, there's just more uncertainty, unpredictability that we are creating out there. And when you have that uncertainty, then you're also creating a lack of trust and confidence in who we are and what we were sent here to be. I spent 22 years being a leader in the United States Army, and that's what I'm up here to do, is to show my leadership.
Representative Alan West said that. And also, you know who else said it? Was what is his name? I don't like him. Milley. Milley said it too.
Oh, General Milley?
General Milley, he said it too. So both of those, one's a politician, one's a military, high-ranking military officer, or
Milley's a clown.
He's a general. So Milley said it too. Both of them said it. So it's not like an illusion or it's just conspiracy.
Milley said it in front of Congress too.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a small thing.
Yeah, they both said it. I almost brain farted right there. I was like, "Oh, of course on the podcast."
I'll take a brain fart over a regular fart any day. So
Yeah.
please feel free.
If their face is changing, you know it was a real fart.
Ashley just made the face like, y'all don't want none of that smoke. Trust me.
Well, she's the one who farts the most.
That's nothing to be ashamed of, by the way. I always said when I was a kid, if you hold in a fart long enough, your breath's going to smell. I don't know if it's true. That was just my theory. And that's how I got away with it as a child.
I agree.
Kenny, by the way, I just sent you a text message if you look at your phone. And it's a video I came across on Telegram today. And it's an old, looks like it's from like the 1950s. And it's somebody discussing how a democracy is a marketing term that was used to brainwash people into forgetting that we're a constitutional republic, but he goes into elaborate detail about the differences. Yeah. I meant to send you that earlier, and it just, because this just came up.
A democracy is a political system in which the people periodically, by majority vote at the polls, select their rulers. The rulers then have absolute power to make whatever laws they please by majority vote among themselves. In a constitutional republic, the people also, by majority vote at the polls, select rulers, who make laws by majority vote among themselves. But the rulers cannot make any laws they please because the Constitution severely restricts their lawmaking power. The ideal of a democracy is universal equality. The ideal of a constitutional republic is individual liberty. In this century, great strides have been made toward the goal of subverting our republic and transforming it into a democracy. The foremost tactic of the subverters is subversion of language. By calling America a democracy until people thoughtlessly accept and use the term, totalitarians have obscured the real meaning of American principles of government. Writers of the Constitution were anxious to safeguard liberty against dictatorship, monarchy they called it. But their chief anxiety was to protect the country against democracy. Edmund Randolph, delegate to the Constitutional Convention from Virginia, said the general object of the convention was to provide a cure for the follies and fury of democracy. Elbridge Gerry and Roger Sherman, delegates from Massachusetts and Connecticut, urged the Constitutional Convention to create a system to eliminate the evils that flow from the excess of democracy. Alexander Hamilton, delegate from New York, said, "We are now forming a Republican government. Real liberty is not found in democracy. If we incline too much to democracy, we shall soon shoot into a monarchy." John Adams, one of the giants of the American Revolutionary period, said, "Democracy will envy all, contend with all, endeavor to pull down all. And when by chance it happens to get the upper hand for a short time, democracy will be revengeful, bloody, and cruel." America was founded not as a democracy, but as a constitutional republic. We pledge allegiance to the republic for which our flag stands, not to a democracy. The Constitution requires a republican form of government for all states, but does not mention democracy, and neither does the Declaration of Independence or the Bill of Rights. Woman asked him what kind of government the convention had given America, and Franklin replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." Very old and very wise, Franklin saw through the mists of time to the day when Americans might trade their freedom in a constitutional republic for the promise of government guaranteed equality and security in a democracy. And beyond that, to the day when democracy inevitably degenerates into dictatorship, guaranteeing nothing but poverty and serfdom for the people it robs and rules.
It is an illusion. And that's
Yes.
why they also named the parties Republican and Democrat, because it resembles, republic and democracy. But that shit's an illusion too. It's just a trick. They're very good at the way that they get people to, assign meanings in their brain. And so I'm like, these dudes are like MK Ultra to all of us. They're like,
The psychological warfare.
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
All right, listen, I'd say that's a pretty good show. I say we just call it oh, wait, we got more questions. Never mind.
That's only the first question.
Never mind. My printer must have run out of ink. My bad. All right, so next up, I didn't write down, and I feel bad because, Gwen, you just went through and told everybody who has what question. I only highlighted the questions I'm responsible for, so who is up next?
It's Gwen. Gwen's doing the next one.
I'm actually going to break this one up into two. So the first question would be, what's the purpose of the AOR? And that is to establish self-authenticated admissible evidence that you can use in court if you were to be violated or if you need it.
And what does AOR stand for?
I think you are missing the question.
No, I split it. That's why
I think you two should fight over it. Seriously. Open up the lion's den, put some chairs in a circle. Let's just hash this out like adults.
Well, Kenny and I are both lions, so.
Okay, go ahead, Gwen. Sorry.
Yeah. And what that evidence does is it establishes evidence that you are not the corporation, the all caps name, that you are the living, breathing man or woman. And that also rescinds and repudiates that commercial contract that makes you the U.S. citizen. But that doesn't eliminate the U.S. citizenship. And so the second question would be, can I do this if I'm a naturalized citizen? And there is an AOR for you to complete, but for you to complete that, you need a contract to rescind for that U.S. citizenship. And that would be with your like dual citizenship or your naturalized citizenship. And so there is a special version for naturalized citizens to complete the AOR and establish that evidence. So yes, you can.
What about if I'm in one of those Venezuelan gangs taking over Aurora, Colorado? How would I go about becoming a state national?
Yeah, you can do it, definitely. If you want to do it, go ahead. What we have for the Venezuelan MS-13 guys, we have this special cliff where you go over there, and if you jump off, guess what? You're a state national.
And then just on impact, you become a state national.
Yeah.
Get your freedom for the mind, body, and soul.
You're totally free at that point.
Jesus
You ain't got a goddamn care in the world.
Yeah.
All right. Gwen, thank you. And by the way, Gwen has a very, you have a very, a perfect voice for radio. I don't want to say, I've been told I have a face for radio. You have a voice for radio. I'm pretty sure only one of those is a compliment, but yeah. All right, moving on.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so I have the next question.
Okay.
The next question is, can I do this if I'm a resident green card holder? Can I do this if I was born in another country, but I'm not a U.S. citizen? So the answer to that is that we used to have a process up on the website that was an AOI, an Affidavit of Inhabitants. And we actually pulled it off the website because, like Gwen had mentioned, if you don't have a citizenship to repudiate, then there really isn't a process for you to do. And the paperwork that we had on the website, we just didn't have anyone that had been successful with it. So we decided, and we have a strict rule that we typically only do things that we teach, we only teach things that we've done ourselves. And we obviously aren't, hadn't been born in another country, and we have our citizenship. And so we just had so many people asking about it that, just the research we did and the paperwork we had, we couldn't get anyone to be successful with it. So there was a small amount of people that had got that and then went through the process. And so we just decided, we didn't keep it up there for a long time and have a whole bunch of people. We just let a small batch of people get it. Yeah. And so unfortunately, you do have to have a citizenship to repudiate. And no, you cannot do the process if you are a green card holder or just a resident. But what you can do is you can still set up your trust. And there are some things that you can do. So it's just that you can't do the AOR process because you're literally denouncing the citizenship
that you don't have.
So, and this isn't part of my question, but I do want to add, I get this question a lot in emails, is if we have an AOR or a process for Canada or other countries to do, because that's typically the next question. Okay, well, if I can't do it for the United States and I'm from here, do you have a process for my other country? And unfortunately, no, we do not. So what I have told people in the past is that they could look at the AOR and they could go over it and use kind of the same technique that the AOR was created based off of. They can go, if they have a Freedom of Information Act from their country, they can go pull up the crimes against humanity that have been publicly announced by their own government there, and they can kind of just tailor it to fit their country's needs, and the process would still be the same because all of the uniform commercial code processes are the same for each country. Just they would have to go and change the wording and change like the specifics, but the format would still work for them.
I myself only teach things that I've personally done. In 8th grade, I was a Kama Sutra instructor in Brazil. I was deported. I gave a bunch of people ringworm. I don't want to get too deep into it, but yeah, it's fine. All right. I think I need some type of counseling or therapy. So if there's any counselors out there listening, please send me an email at sjbarty.messedupinthehead.com.
Well, we're kind of doing that right now, Steve. Don't worry about it.
This is my all right, so I'm going to get an invoice at the end of the show. That's fine. Yeah. I'll pay it.
So it's a little pricey, but you'll be fine.
All right, who's up next? The next question is, if I'm currently in trouble with a court case, will becoming a state national save me or fix it?
Well, actually, the answer is hell no. Well, it really depends. Okay, so like, if you're just learning, that'd be very hard for someone, and especially if your case involves a victim. So the way it works for a state national is you're not bound to victimless crimes, because that means that the state is charging you. The state says, I'm the victim. The state of Texas, you drove too fast over my roads, and I'm very sad about it. So the state of Texas jumps on the stand and see that's the problem. Any victimless crime, it's not supposed to apply to anybody. So if you claim your status and self-determined, victimless crimes are not supposed to apply to you. But you have to have the knowledge to do that. You can't just like, look, I have a paperwork and this is it. No. The paperwork just matches the knowledge that you have. So you have to be able to apply it. So if it's a victimless crime, it is possible that you could beat that using jurisdictional challenge, because our paperwork literally has a state seal on it. So they have to say you file it in your challenging jurisdiction. You're saying, look, I'm not bound by these statutes. I'm not a corporate citizen anymore. You file your document in there, it has a state seal. They have to either prove that your document's fraud, which they can't because you're calling out the government for what they did wrong, and then you're self-determining, or they have to throw your case out. So not that many people know how to do that. So if it's victimless, it could get you off if you have the knowledge and the paperwork. If it has a victim, absolutely not. Everyone who has a victim in their crime should be persecuted. That's what it's for. You're supposed to exercise your rights to the fullest and not infringe on someone else's. But if you're infringing on someone else's and there's a victim, whether it's just stealing their stuff or actually causing physical harm, you have to be persecuted.
Fraud is another one.
Yeah,
that was something I failed to look into. Yeah,
fraud, anything that causes an injury to someone, whether it's financially or physically. So you're liable for all that, and we want to hold people accountable, because the whole goal isn't just to get off stuff. No, it's to hold yourself to a higher standard, and that's really what this is about. So if victimless crimes and you got the knowledge, you could use it and probably get off. If you don't have the knowledge and you're just starting, you probably ain't getting off nothing. But, if there is a victim, it doesn't help you at all.
I want to throw in there real quick. So the question's asking, since I get this email a lot, that some people may already be in a situation, and then they want to do the state national paperwork to help them get out of the situation.
And won't help.
That's tough, because for one, just the AOR process takes a couple months to get through.
Yeah.
Two, typically, let's just use a ticket, for example. You need to, the first step to do would be to,
record it.
Yeah, record it. And do you have a recording to prove your evidence? And then two, let's say they did, or let's say they could get caught body cam footage, right? Well, you're supposed to put them on notice to let them know that, you're a state national, you're not a U.S. citizen, you're not doing commerce. So there's a whole educational procedure to do. So yeah, that's another reason why it doesn't necessarily work. But you can still start the process, and then that way you're ready for the next time.
And you could try. It's worth a try. I was smoking out the first ticket I got when I, became a state national and corrected my political status. I went in there and jammed up the whole system, and they're like, let me go read your paperwork, son.
Yeah, but you already had your paperwork then.
I did already have it.
It's not like you just got it and then you're like, oh, let me do this really quick to try to remedy it.
I'm glad you brought it up. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm interrupting you.
Go ahead.
I do want to throw in that the whole purpose of educating and recording the evidence is to make the violation a willful violation. Whenever you put an officer on notice of your status in your jurisdiction and they continue to violate your rights and you're recording the evidence, that makes the violation willful. And that's one of the things that you have to prove in a lawsuit.
Bingo. Good one.
Good point.
I'm so proud she's my daughter. She's not only beautiful, but she's smart.
She makes me want to have kids, but I'm an old man, and I don't think I function properly anymore. That's a whole nother podcast. Christ, I'm having a night.
The next question's on me too. Can someone who's incarcerated become a state national? And the answer is yes, but what's the point? I'm saying you could do it, but it would be difficult. You have to get things notarized. So the best thing, if someone was incarcerated, victimless crime, say they just, like I seen a guy locked up, he's got like 80 years for marijuana. I'm like, what the hell? What you could do is you could learn and get prepared. But I mean, the point, you're already in there. So the best you could really do is learn. But you could go through the process. You'd have to have someone come in there and notarize it. And there's tons of people locked up for victimless crimes because they don't realize the prison industrial complex, it's all about money. As a matter of fact, there's a lawsuit in Arizona because they have a contract between the prisons and the state. You're going to fill the prison to 95%. And if you don't, hey, that's breach of contract. So they sued them for breach of contract. They won. It's like $16 million. The state of Arizona and the taxpayers had to pay the prison for not filling it enough, which is ridiculous. But that's the world we live in. We live in profits over people. And so, yeah, you could do it in there, but it's better just to learn and to fully, grasp everything and then come out and knock it out the park. That'd be
Kenny, I want to piggyback on something you just said. You said profits over people. Now, as somebody who works in corporate America, I could not agree with that statement more. And here's what I mean by that. So when companies are in financial dire straits, they will cut staff. They will tack on somebody else's responsibilities to an employee who they're not going to get rid of, typically for no more pay. So somebody else is doing double, if not triple the work. But they do all these things. But the only people who never see a tail off or a drop off in their income is, C-suite, top level executives. They will always get their bonuses. They'll always get their money. They'll always get their profit sharing. So what you said is completely accurate because I've been through this. I've been through companies getting sacked, particularly in healthcare. Rhode Island, we have two major healthcare systems. They have a combined $125 to $150 million net loss every year for the past 5 years. So if you're running at that type of loss, A, how are you maintaining payroll? And B, how are C-suite level executives still getting pay raises when you're cutting jobs? That's how you know the U.S. is a corporation, is because it treats the country the same way on a macro level a corporation treats its employees. Exactly. It is no fucking different whatsoever. It's the same cadence, the same everything.
Well, we saw it in Lahaina, how they treated the people in Lahaina. We can send all these money to other countries, right? But we don't help our own people. They're going to do the same thing to the people in North Carolina right now.
You're seeing it now. Did you guys see what Trump said? Not Trump. Did anyone see what Joe Biden said today? They asked him on the tarmac, and he kind of giggled. He's like, no, we've sent all the resources we could send. You motherfucker, you just sent $8 billion to the Ukraine.
I know.
Just you can't help your own people.
I know. And
it's disgusting.
It's really sad. It's really hurtful for our people. But I hope that this brings about a unity so that we can come together and we can literally change. They are our elected officials, not the other way around. But they treat us like, they tell us what to do. So the moment that we come together, we'll be able to restore that and we will literally tell them what to do.
I want to ask a question. Any one of you can answer this because I know you all know the answer. If I were to go to court, say I had a court date tomorrow for domestic assault. It's weird that I chose domestic assault. But anyway, let's just say I had to go to court tomorrow. Could I use the Constitution in court as a defense? And I'm asking in a very general, not a state national specific.
I was going to say as a citizen or as a state national.
I'm saying as a citizen, and I'm trying to make a point with this.
You still can't either way because it doesn't work like that. Ever since the Supreme Court was given the supreme authority to interpret your Constitution, they are now the supreme authority of interpretation. So what works is not the Constitution, it's case law. So case law is what you use because they interpret it. So you have case law and you have appellate court decisions. Those are the two ways that you use. So if you go in there saying, my constitutional right, they'll tell you you're stupid and get out of there because that's not really how it works. When people say it, they typically are talking about First Amendment auditing. And they'll say, it's my First Amendment right, But there's so much case law to back the First Amendment that it's almost like nonsensical. Like, of course you have a First Amendment, but it doesn't matter if you don't stand up for it. So you can't really
You literally just made my point.
Well, the ugly truth is is that if you hire the right lawyer, of course you could get off of it, because it depends on who scratches whose back. You have enough money, you can get off anything in this country, basically. Pedophiles do it all the time. And so it just depends on how much money you have is the real truth.
Yeah, it's not skin
system.
color, it's bank account that gets you off.
Yeah. I'm fucking both categories then. Never mind.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about the system that we're all
I know
right now.
The next question is, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just going to drive a nail further into a coffin.
Drive it further. We're ready.
Well, you need to do the felony charge one.
Yeah, well, the next one is, okay,
Yeah,
can I, if I've been convicted of a felony and signed my rights away to carry a firearm, can I get it back? Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, there's a gentleman who wrote a book about it, because I seen a guy that has his own, he's got his own like gun store. And so this book right here shows you, you definitely can get your gun rights back.
Kenny, do me a favor. Hold that back up, but center it on your camera a little bit.
Slow. Leave it slow. So there.
Back up a little bit. All right, now stand on one leg.
Okay.
Right.
And hop. Yeah. Well, so this book right here is written by a gentleman that went and, used the law and got his gun rights back. So you definitely can do it.
I feel like you need to move your microphone up, because sometimes it sounds really echoey, and then
keep your
closer.
Well, when I'm moving,
Stop
Well,
moving.
yeah, this whole time it was kind of sounding echoey to me in the headphones. I thought I would just tell you.
Well,
you sounded really clear when you got closer.
Oh, you want me closer?
Yeah, if you could just bring it closer.
Oh,
Sounds better.
Kenny, see if you can fit the whole mic in your mouth.
Just put the mic in my mouth is what she's saying.
Chew it like gum.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
I think we need to get Steve one of the hats to wear.
I do need a hat.
Wait.
Whoa. Is this a hairline comment? What's happening right now?
No, I was just looking at Kenny.
Mother of Christ, why don't you kick me in the balls while I'm sleeping? Yeah, send me don't you guys have the black hat that says be the change you want to see?
Yeah.
We do. You want to
All right, I'm gonna go order one tonight. Fucking Gwen should buy it for me after that insult. Guys, I just wanted to throw this out there real quick. Steve should wear a bag over his head during the podcast. Hey, Mom, do we have those bags that they put on planes when you're going to throw up? Do we have any of those available?
A brown paper bag.
That's what she meant.
Smiley face drawn on it.
That was the slickest, most subtle insult I've ever been exposed to.
How do you think she gets it from me?
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Is it weird that I want to cry and I just peed a little? What the hell's happening right now?
Well, even though you peed your pants, we still have questions. The next one is...
Good thing I'm in Brianna's chair.
What's E? We didn't. We'll become a state national, fix my felony charge. We'll become a state national, fix my record. I've signed away my rights, accepted a guilty plea, and went to prison. No, it won't. It won't make anything go away, but if you learn your rights enough, you can get certain things expunged. You just have to learn. Like the whole point of this system, one thing I noticed about a lot of people who teach this, they teach you don't cross the bar, don't learn your rights, don't actually learn how all that part works. But actually, when you learn that part, it all makes sense. You realize why we do the documents we do, because what happens is if you don't learn how a court works, you get caught slipping. They tell you, go record here on this LRO, or go record on this, other land recording office. But in fact, that has no jurisdictional authority when you file your document in court, because if you get the state seal on it, now they have to recognize it. So if you learn the court process, it'll make a lot of things more clear. You'll be prepared if they ever draw you into court. And that's the most important part, because that's typically where someone would have an issue. So if you get drawn into court, you know what to do. You're more prepared. And that's the better version of it all. So it's good to learn the entire system, especially the court system. So it doesn't make it go away, but you could if you learn enough. That's how it works.
I'm trying to change my name on here.
On the record, you could learn about the appellate court. You could learn about the whole court procedure.
Everything.
I feel like everybody should know this stuff anyway. I mean, this is stuff that we talked about. And we talked about this in episode 1, that you should be taught this from elementary school all the way up. Like you learn about the 3 branches of government, but they don't tell you any detail about them. Just like, here's what they are. This is how many there are. All right, now we're moving on to flat earth or whatever the fuck they teach you in elementary school. Like it's just, they never tell you exactly how to decipher this code.
Yeah.
No, they only tell you that Christopher Columbus thought the world was flat, and that's the whole reason he went on his crusade.
That's awesome. He also brought syphilis to the Native Americans. Let's not forget
gave
that.
them blankets. Remember how they say they don't poison us, and then not Christopher Columbus, but the American government at the time, they gave like all the natives these blankets that, like, and they got them all sick, right? And that's the same thing now, except you just got to look up and you can see it coming down on you, and
Jesus
there it
Christ.
is.
Yeah.
H, the question says, will becoming a state national fix my probation? Absolutely not. That is one thing nobody should fuck around with or play with, because, probation is a contract, and that's extremely difficult to get out of. So that's an advanced topic that, honestly, since you signed and did that, it would be better for you to just learn as much as you can and pay off early, learn how to get out of it early legally, the lawful. Like, there is a legal and lawful, separation, but when you sign that contract, you're legally obligated. And I would not play with a probation contract. I would learn everything.
They'll arrest you.
They will. They will. And people that I know that have tried, they all get arrested. Like, I've never seen someone successfully do it. Even the big gurus get arrested for that. And they've tried and they don't get off. So it's better just to learn how to get off the legal way instead of trying to, exercise a lawful remedy. Like, just since you signed it legally, fix it legally. If that's two different things.
You can't mix jurisdictions and expect that your commercial contract that you're going to.
They're going to raid your house and kick the door in, and your probation officer will see you in court.
I also want to point out that it feels like if you're getting into this process strictly because you're jammed up somehow legally, and you think this is your way out, you're probably doing this for the wrong reasons,
and you won't have the right energy to push through.
Yeah, like you're trying to erase something that you should probably have been punitively or whatever punished for. You know what I mean? So I just feel like if you're getting into this for the sake of beating a charge or getting off probation, you're kind of missing the point, because we're peaceful non-combatants. We are, for the most part, we're contributors to our community. We try to make our neighborhoods and our state, our country safer for us and for future generations. Like, it's a much deeper responsibility, I think, than just, I got a fucking speeding ticket. I need help getting out of it. Well, slow the fuck down, pay the ticket, and shut up. Move on. Like, it's just like there's so many things like that people just don't take into consideration. Like, this isn't a way to get out of trouble.
So
I'm a speeder too.
That's a huge disrespect. We speed like crazy.
I set my cruise control to 97 on back roads. I'm right there with you.
A really big misconception is like that we're above the law as state nationals, but it's really that we don't consent to corrupt laws. But
exactly,
like, we're not trying to be above the honorable laws that we the people put into place for safety.
Yeah.
It's not like we're out here drinking and driving and getting DUIs and trying to get off of them. That's
killing people and manslaughter charges. But the truth is, if you took all those traffic cops, this is where the awareness of the state national code. You take all those traffic cops, you switch them over to child trafficking. Now you have to get a constitutional republic that's actually operating for the people.
Well, they would be constables at that point.
Yeah, how would pulling someone over be more important than child trafficking? As we have 800,000 kids in America that go missing. There's 55 kids that go missing every day from the foster care system. You know what I mean? Like 55 a day. Think about that. Nobody's allowed to lose 55 kids a day.
That's such a deflated number. It's way more.
I'm sure it's more, but they get away with it because they have no one looking after them. And, they say they're runaways. So they end up in a human trafficking situation. And that's where their officers, as a constitutional republic, as we the people, we should say, you know what? That's a misappropriation of police activities. We need to get them all on child trafficking. If someone wants to speed 10 miles over, fuck it. Let the dude speed, dude. Whatever it's
a victimless crime. It's not. Well, first of all, it's not a crime. It's a victimless statute or code.
Yeah. For all the citizens and all the corporate franchisees to pay and sucker up. So what happens in America is they create all these franchisees, all these statutes that just collect revenue. It's all revenue collection. And in the end, those officers should be put on something more important that benefits the people.
Yes.
And that's child trafficking.
Well, and what most people don't know is that the actual police stations are private for-profit corporations themselves. Mm-hmm. So we have this belief and idea, because we just accept whatever we're told, that police are, like working for the government, but they're not. They're just like anybody can go own a police station if you have enough money. So these tickets that you're paying and this idea of justice really is just lining someone's pocket.
I want to buy a police department.
Oh, Lord, Steve, don't be a part of the problem.
No. I would just do involuntary cavity searches 24/7. That's it. I'll show those bastards.
You won't really find anything about the police stations like that other than the United Nations and the federalization of the police stations. That's what you'll find. What you'll find where people can purchase is stuff like child protective services. So this is an illusion where people think, like, this is going on what Ashley said about the police, but really what you can buy is like CPS. You could buy those. They're owned privately, and the majority of those are for profit. And you're not really going to find a police station for profit like that owned by, Joe Schmo, in Iran or whatever. But you will find CPS. Majority of CPSs are owned by some foreign entity, not even in this country. That's the truth. And anybody who digs deep will find that.
And that's how they dig into the human trafficking. That's how they cover it up, because they're owned by something else.
Yeah, that's true.
All of them are registered on Dun & Bradstreet, even the police departments.
Yeah, so there are, they're incorporated. That's
Gwen. Aside from telling everybody that I shouldn't have my face on camera, why don't you tell everybody what Dun & Bradstreet is?
Oh, Kenny should answer that one.
Well, they don't use it anymore. So they got rid of it, and the government started to use another one. But all it is where businesses go to register for incorporation, and it gives business ratings. It gives all types of stuff. If, say, you want to buy a business and you want to inquire about it, you can get a Dun & Bradstreet account and look through all their stuff. It's just like where businesses go to register. That's all it is.
I thought on Dun & Bradstreet that it listed the owner of the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't, and this is the key principle, which is like the president, which would be Brandon, and it has him listed there right now. And they changed the name, so right now it's currently called Government of the United States. So if you go to you just type in Dun & Bradstreet, Government of the United States, you'll see it says doing business as the U.S. government, and it says the key principle. Back in the day when I used to make a ton of videos about it, they showed all the different the subsidiaries, and it was literally 666. It was 66,006 subsidiaries of the U.S. government. 666. I made videos about it. Turn that shit off. They put a lock. It has like a lock over it now. And then when you go to the states, you click on the state, like state of Texas, and you see it registered and incorporated on Dun & Bradstreet. They have it locked now. So they locked up a bunch of stuff since I blasted all that stuff, got millions of views, and they're like, delete the account, lock that down. So I know we're affecting change because we can see it with how they're doing it. So you're on the next question, Steve.
I know. I was just going to say, as we sit here and talk about this, I think because I study this all the time, you folks, this is your life. This is your business, your ministry. I got to stop using that word. It sucks because I work in corporate America. I know, I can't help it. But I work in corporate America. It's like I have to, it's awful.
It's hard to crack. It takes time.
We're in ministry. We dedicated our life to helping people free the mind, body, and soul. So we are a real ministry.
This is all we do.
House of Rocks.
I know what Gwen's thinking right now. This fucking ugly bastard can't even tell us what we are correctly. Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh, that's so mean. I can't say that.
I'm so glad you're the host and not me. I've been getting the wrath.
All right. So next up we have, will I become tax exempt as a state national, and how do I stop paying taxes? Now, what I'm going to do, my process, because I work for an employer, was a little bit different. So I'll tell you how I went through this. First and foremost, it's a matter of notifying the IRS that you are aware of the fraud that has taken place going back to your birth certificate, and you are putting them on alert through an affidavit that you are removing yourself from volunteering your federal income taxes. So there are several ways you can go about doing this. One of them would be, what the hell was the name of this thing? And I probably shouldn't even bring this up, but you know what? I'm going to stick with what we do at State Nationals Rock. I notified the IRS with an affidavit that I was breaking the contract. I was no longer volunteering my income tax. Then what I did is I alerted my payroll department, and actually you guys have the copy of my new W-4. I submitted.
We're going to get that on the website in the monthly memberships.
Yeah. So what I did was I created a W-4 with a little blurb at the bottom of it. And it's a disclaimer, so to speak, basically saying that you're telling me I cannot collect a paycheck unless I submit this form. I'm doing this under duress. It uses, so I'm citing UCC code 1-308. So I'm reserving my rights without prejudice. So that's already pre-printed on the form that I submitted. But the key point to that was just page one. I think there was 10 or 11 supporting pages that I attached to this in one PDF. And it's all the Supreme Court case law showing that there is no law on the books stating that a non-federal citizen or non-federal asset has to pay federal income taxes. So what I did was I notified my payroll department. I submitted my version of the W-4, which is not the one that they were providing at the time. I believe the one I had is from 2020. And I just told them, I've spoke to the IRS, which I didn't. I just told them that I did. I spoke to the IRS. This is completely fine. You should be able to keep this on record. And I have in email the verification that we will take your version and we will keep this on your file in case we're ever contacted by the IRS. So now my wife and I, my wife's a consultant out of Chicago. I work out of another state in Boston. So every week when we get our paychecks, we get direct deposit and it goes directly into our trust checking account, which is not tied to our social security numbers. And what I mean by that is part of this process, and I don't want to go too deep into the weeds, but there's a couple of the forms and steps you have to complete first. So we went to a credit union. They offer a trust checking account. So about a year after I told the IRS, I put them on notice. I got the affidavits. I recorded them. I had them notarized. So again, it's admissible evidence. It's on public record. I went back to the IRS and I submitted an SS4 form where I was requesting a federal EIN number, and the employee identification number that is tied to our private foreign trust checking account is not tied to our social security numbers. So what that does, and now in this foreign trust, we have our bank account. We're moving our house into it, our vehicles. So my wife and I, much like your ministry, we have turned ourselves into, I guess, singular entities of ministerial nature. So we have taken a vow of poverty. Our trust gets everything, our assets, our paycheck, everything, and we get an allowance every week. And so that's how we live. So everything, we literally own nothing, but we control everything through our trust. So exactly. That's a very kind of high level overview, but it's literally just a matter of using the legal affidavits that are provided in the memberships, sending to the IRS, giving them the required 30 business days to rebut your claim, and they won't. They never will, because I've come to the realization that they'll never rebut your claim, because if they do that, that means they have to admit they committed fraud in the first place. Yeah. So the reason I bring up that timeline, so it was roughly a year or 13 months after I stopped filing and contributing federal income taxes. That's when I went back to the IRS to be like, hey, I know I just told you guys to go fuck yourselves, but I really need an EIN number so I can do more banking that you can't touch if you want to come after me for something. And they gave it to me. Yeah. So in my eyes, it's almost as if I did this through your process, which you taught to me. And the validation was the fact that after I served them all these notices, my wife and I, they still gave me an EIN number that is not attached to our social security numbers, which means they have no jurisdictional authority over it whatsoever. They can't put liens on it, levies on it. They can't touch it. A judge can't touch it. Probate court can't touch it. So it's very comforting to feel that insulated from the one organization that everyone is scared to death of. Everyone's afraid of the IRS. And then you realize after studying this and going through your process and reading and just keep digging it, you realize that it's like that big bully in the lunchroom. They're all talk and they have nothing to back. If you know your rights and you've created your standing, if you've done your paperwork, there's really nothing they could do to you. So it's kind of like this iron. Yeah.
Joseph Bannister proved it. He went to court with Bernhoff Law out of Austin, and he got his supervisor on the stand, and they couldn't produce the law that made him liable. That is what got Joseph Bannister off, and he went to jury trial. So what they did is they spent 6 years and unlimited amounts of money to try and get him in civil fines and penalties. And so they keep using some stupid evidence back in the day that they used to remove his CPA license from it's an office of the IRS that they took his CPA license that has no burden of proof, and they keep getting him with these civil fines. So when you look up Joseph Bannister, it's he loses again, another appeal. He didn't lose. He won. He took that shit to trial and he won and got his superior on the stand to say there is no law, and they hide that. They're hiding it so bad, but it happened out of San Francisco with Bernhoff Law out of Austin. So if you just type in Bernhoff Law, Austin, and if, say you're standing up and maybe you're not there yet, you can't do enough for yourself, that attorney will help people. So people have to realize there are good attorneys out there stuck in a bad system. And Bernhoff Law, straight up, this gentleman says, like, the IRS is bullshit. And the 16th Amendment, he goes into it. So it's not all just, people against the people. We're not against people at all. We're for all people. We're against the corrupt systems that pin each other against each other. You understand? No. So people know that, but that's the truth. If you look up his case, you can find his case out of San Francisco. And when you dig down, you realize he won. He won his lawsuit. They tried to charge him with felony charges and destroy his life. And he won because they couldn't produce the law on the stand from his own superior.
Can you drop the book, Kenny, so that people can get the book to read it?
Sure. The book is over there. I'm going to grab it real quick. It's just called, if you just type in, all you have to type in is Joseph Bannister on Amazon, and it'll pull up, and it'll say, like, investigating the IRS.
Steve can put a picture of the book.
It says,
yeah, I'll do a cutaway to the
That's
book.
all you have to do. And he also has a website called Agent for Truth. And so he may not be as far along as we are as being, wanting to restore the republic, because that's all we're trying to do. But he definitely is against, the IRS.
I'm glad you brought that up, because he's not, to my knowledge, Joe Bannister is not a state national. He's just a guy who stood on his rights.
Yeah,
an honest, good person.
People only know what they know. If I got on the phone with him, he'd be like, "Well, damn, Kenny, sign me up," because it's just restoring the republic. And everybody since elementary has been indoctrinated that we are the republic, but they don't realize as we give up our rights through knowledge and not standing up for our constitutional rights, we're acting in the capacity of a democracy, and we're actually franchisees for the corporation. So,
I wonder if Gwen would tell Joe he should wear a hat. I'm just curious.
She probably wouldn't. She just did that for you, Steve.
Can you also drop and let the people know the amount of our federal income taxes that actually goes to supporting our country? Because I know that's a thing that a lot of people, you're probably like choke on. Well, if you don't pay your taxes, how does this country function? We need roads. We need this.
Before anybody answers that question, can I tell my quick story about this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was in a meeting at work, and I won't go into all the details, but I think it was the day of the New Hampshire primaries. So it came up in conversation because two of the folks that I work with in this particular department live in New Hampshire. So they're talking about how you're going to vote, mail-in, this and that. And so one individual said, all Trump supporters should be thrown in jail or shot. This is in a work meeting, by the way. I said nothing. I'm just quiet. So finally, everyone's done kind of saying their piece. And I go, yeah, I don't vote anymore. I go, I'm not even a citizen. And so like, wait, you're not from America? What are you talking about? So I went into my whole spiel. And I just told them, like, the process, explained to them what I did. I'm like, yeah, I don't vote. I don't pay federal income taxes. And they're like, wait a fucking second. Did you say you don't pay federal income taxes? I go, no. I said, that's for chumps. I don't do that. So we get into this whole thing. So I get a phone call later that day from one individual from the meeting. And she goes, wait a minute. She goes, if you don't pay federal income taxes, she goes, what about like Social Security? She goes, what about the people who were homeless from Ukraine? What about the immigrants? And I'm like, oh, Christ, here we go. I go, look, I said, if you're not aware, I said, have you ever looked at the Reagan report? I forget what year it came out, 1986, whatever it is.
1984.
Okay.
It's called the Grace Commission report.
That's what it was. Grace Commission. So I went into the whole spiel. I'm like, your federal income taxes go to pay the interest on the national debt. I'm like, it has nothing to do with roads, schools, nothing. Has nothing to do with anything. So she stops. She pauses for a second. She goes, are you sure that's accurate? She goes, I haven't looked into that in a while. I go, I don't want to be the one to burst your bubble, but it sounds like you've never looked into it at all. And yes, that's accurate. Yeah. So yeah, no, people don't realize. Like I had this conversation with a handful of people. One woman called me a parasite. She goes, "You're just a leech on the system." I go, no, I'm really not at all. I go, the average American pays 97 taxes throughout the year. All right, you don't know about most of them. I said, but your gas tax and the sales tax for your state would be enough to cover schools, roads, transportation, things like that. I go, that's what it's intended for. Yeah. I go, you've been brainwashed into thinking you have to pay federal taxes.
Dude, we fought over a small tax because we understood as the constitutional republic, if you send money to another country, that is in fact taxation without representation.
Yes.
Back in the day, that shit started a war. And now people are just like, oh, send Ukraine $8 billion more. I'm like, what the fuck? Y'all lost your damn mind. And that's how we converted into a democracy, is just by stealing the knowledge. But that is in fact what we went to war. And that's
and
called
what was
taxation.
that called? I think we learned about it in the
I think it's celebrated every 4th of July.
Something like that.
It was
Well,
the Boston Tea Party.
Boston Tea Parties that where they threw all the tea from England in the river, and they're like, you know what, screw you. And that didn't start the war, but it was a big contributor. And yeah, so that's taxation without representation, because we said, look, you don't represent us over there, England. Why are we paying taxes to you? So the same thing, they're taxing us to send it to Ukraine. That is exactly the same thing with a little bit of different twist and a different generation. And that's how they just deceive the masses to be a democracy and give up all these taxes, dude. Every dollar going overseas is actually treason to the constitutional republic, and nobody knows. So once people realize this, they're like, wait a minute, really? Yeah, actually, if we stop doing that shit, we could help our homeless vets. We could, get them homes, help. We could feed them. We could, dude, but what do we get? Spit on it. That's all we get. Hawk talk.
Fucking Hawk Tua, baby.
That's all we get. Nonsense. We don't get nothing
bullshit.
Real intelligence.
Let me ask you this. How many weeks a year do people work for free paying all these taxes, giving our money away?
It's 5 to 7 months.
So 5 to 7 months out of a year, people are working for free, but yet they've got no retirement. We don't have good health care. Most people can't afford to pay for anything out of their own pocket. They have to put, they're in credit card debt. Like most people at Christmas time max out all of their credit cards buying gifts, but yet we work for how many months free? And other countries, they actually get holiday. That's what they call it, holiday. Well, you'll get paid time off. You get a month off for paid vacation from work, all these things. And yet people are fighting over the system that enslaves them here to give themselves a better life.
Just like his coworker. We fund 181 countries in the world, and there's only 195. Anyone can Google, financial assistance to how many countries, and then you'll see it'll come up. It's 181 out of 195.
Jesus.
We're basically welfare for the world.
Yeah, that's what it's come down to.
So Ashley's next on the question list. So Ashley's Jay.
Okay, so what if my husband or wife does not want to become a state national?
Divorce.
Divorce. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke.
I actually get this question a lot in the emails. And Kenny actually just did a call with somebody that he was like, oh, talk to my wife because this is the first thing she hasn't supported me in the whole 20 something years we've been married. Right.
Yeah.
So
they're a sweet couple, but people are afraid.
This is something everybody.
People are scared.
I get a lot of emails about this. So you can still become a state national if your husband or wife doesn't want to do it, right? And pretty much what we say is don't let somebody else's choice to either support the system or to not support it stop you from what you're wanting to do. It's a part of self-determination, and free will of your partner. So your partner has the right to, even if it kills you inside, to support the corrupt system, right? If that's their choice. You don't want to take away anyone's free will, just like you don't want anyone infringing on your own free will. Yeah. So our motto is to be the change you want to see. And to be the light, be the salt, everything Kenny says in his videos. And the best way to do that is by living a life by example. So most people, most husbands or wives or whoever, it's very rare that, I hate to say this, it's very rare that it's a wife emailing me and the husband doesn't want to do it. It's typically always the husband emailing me and the wife being afraid.
That's what the call was too. She wanted to pay the income tax and he just was like, it's unjustified.
It's everyone.
She said, no, we earned the money. We owe it. And I was like, oh, it hit me in the heart. I was like, God, just give it to CC. Just give it to China. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Seriously. Just send a check to Ukraine.
She didn't know. People just don't know. So you have to always remember,
it's indoctrination too.
It's literally in her statement. We earned it. We owe it. I'm sorry, what? You earned it.
You earned it.
You just see it from their perspective, and you can have compassion for their situation. It is the only way to bring about change, because division and war is what they want. They own the companies. They'll love for their stocks to go up if we all shoot each other. That is not the answer.
Yeah, that's the exact opposite of what we even support.
We
too,
stand
right?
for-
Like
yes.
a broken marriage over this isn't any good. Like
No.
we need everyone united, not divided.
So be the light, be the salt.
Yeah,
and change her
so-
with your.
So the truth is, you know, like let's say, Steve, your situation, your wife was scared and then you weren't scared. So you decided to go ahead and do your W-4 and you do all of your things, right? Well, what do you think's going to happen after a couple years?
Exactly.
She's going to be like, oh, well, nothing happened.
Yeah.
And so, and then she's going to start thinking, oh, well, maybe I want a vacation and look at all that extra money he has. And he's buying all this stuff for his truck. And then look at me over here. Like, I don't even get to go
Loser.
to the spa or like whatever. Right. So just carry the energy that you want to put out, because when you do things, it gives permission to other people. So when you take an action and to be the change you want to see, the people that are afraid around you or the people that are watching you, they're gonna be inspired by you, and eventually just by you shining your light and not living in fear, it's gonna allow them to take the same action.
Yes.
So,
By the way, the scenario you just spoke about me and Brianna, I don't know if you remember this, but I went through the process a year before Brianna. She wanted to, and I told her, and I said, look, she was skeptical at first, because when you first hear about this, it sounds like a scam. It sounds like someone's making this up. So I said, look, I'll tell you what, I'm willing to go through this. And every step of the way, I did one step at a time. I studied the living shit out of everything. And every step you complete, you realize okay, I'm safe. Nothing happened. I'm going to go to step 2. And then I took my time with it. I studied. So it was really just over a year after I finished my process that I put Brianna through it, because she was very skeptical. But I'm just like, honey, there's something inward is telling me that we are going to be okay. And I knew, and I'm not trying to sound corny or religious, but just I knew that we were going to be okay. I just knew.
Too.
I never had a doubt in my head, never, until I met Kenny.
The more you learn too, like, I'm not going to lie, when we first started this, I was even scared that, I was like, because like my dad, he was a truck driver and he tried to do something like this back in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm not quite sure. I would have to ask my mom. But he actually, like, they weren't successful, and then he had to pay back all this money to the IRS, right?
Yeah.
So that was already something that, like, I was already, like, nervous and scared of, and the truth is that fear comes from unknowingness.
Exactly.
Yes.
And when you don't know, you're scared. The unknown is scary in anything. It's just like you can take that and replace it from the IRS and say, I'm going to start this new job. I'm scared. Oh, I'm getting a divorce. I'm scared. Anything that is called the unknown is scary, because you don't know what's going to happen. You're like, the survival part of your brain gets scared because it can't predict what's going to happen next.
Yeah, that's
true. So it's a completely normal survivalistic feeling to be scared of something you don't know.
Yeah.
And the truth is, the more you know and the more you take action, you actually start having a knowingness inside of you, and you embody the truth. The truth has a high frequency.
That's right.
And when you embody that truth and you fill it with
chills
knowledge,
right now.
you literally become empowered, and that's the light you shine.
Yes.
It's information, and you literally radiate it, and people can feel your energy. It's no different than if you're standing in line at the store and the person in front of you, I mean, we've all had this happen. You're maybe not having a great day, or just average, but the person in front of you is like, hey, how you doing? Like, just like they're having a great life, it seems like. And you can just feel that energy radiating off of them, right? They're complimenting the person at the checkout. They're thanking the person bagging the groceries. Yeah. They're like complimenting the person, like, as their clothes as they're walking away. They're like talking to people around them. It's a frequency. It's an energy.
I want you to know that if we were in a revival tent right now, I would have hurled my checkbook at you and just to take whatever you want.
That's we're gonna have a podcast about that. I have so many videos about that topic right there.
You can catch at me, Steve. Don't worry, I got a cat.
You know, an international banker for 50 years, him and his wife is the original like shower of showing me that this is real. And if anybody wants to look,
Before TikTok.
before TikTok. You can look up a lady that was killed over this named Karen Hudes. She worked for the World Bank, and she exposed that there's 2 constitutions, and nobody really knows about this stuff. She died. They poisoned her. She goes on and saying they poisoned me with arsenic. Then she's still speaking out. She's all skinny and poisoned up. They went and body slammed her. They tried to, silence her, and she never gave up. So anyone who's curious, look up Karen Hudes. She worked for the World Bank. They don't even hide it. She was an attorney for the World Bank. And so initially, an international banker of 50 years taught me this. He came into my business and Ashley's business.
Him and his wife were both international bankers, both of them.
Both of them. And he's the first person to show it to me, and it blew my mind.
He was the sweetest old papa, too. Like
he looked slick, dude. That dude was
so cool to have him on the podcast.
I have his business card still saved.
We should.
We could, yeah, we definitely could. He'd be like, "Wow, Kenny, you came a long damn way, boy." Shit.
He was 70-something years old, and that was already many, many years ago.
He's got to be in his 80s by now. Somewhere.
I mean, they were like
classy.
There are some people
Class
whose
act
AORs
this
I
dude.
filled out, and they are in their 70s to 80s. Okay.
No, they were very intelligent people. Like
and kind. They were kind because I didn't know anything, and when I started to speak of knowledge that I knew, he looked at his wife with these bright eyes, and he thought, "I'm going to tell this kid." I could literally see his lights go on, and he says, "I'm going to tell him." And they gave each other the nod, and he dropped the hammer on me, and he went outside and got his paperwork and came and showed me, and he started explaining how we're all like franchisees and slaves to the corporation. I was like, "Say what?" And this is the most classiest gentleman that, I get a lot of, back when we had our business, I used to get so many rich people because my price was very high. It was hard.
You just offered a very specialty service.
That's true. I had a specialty niche, that only typically rich people could come see me, and so that's
lower back massages, right? Was that the business plan? That's what I signed up for anyway.
I'd work in it was like cosmetic micropigmentation, so that's a fancy word for tattooing, but that's all.
Oh, that was my next guess. Okay, that sounds better.
Yeah.
You do like under eye concealer and microblading.
Yeah, people would fly
permanent
to come
makeup.
Back when we did. That was their life.
I'm gonna fly and you're gonna give me my first tattoo. I have no tattoos.
Yeah, we already talked about it.
It's gonna be state.
SNR.
My stamp is gonna be State Nationals Rock. Be the change that Kenny tattooed on your butt. That's what it's gonna say.
Be the change on your lower back. That's
That's pretty funny. Gwen has the next one. It says, "Can my child become a state national?" And take this one, Gwenny. Let's see what you got.
Well, yes, your children can become a state national. They're technically born a state national until you go ahead and sign their birth certificate.
Thank you.
But after you've made that mistake, like everyone else does, they can do an AOR. If they are 0 to 1 to 7 years old, only the parents sign the AOR. But if they're 8 years old to 17 years old, then the parents and the kids sign the AOR. And if they're 18 years old and older, then they can do it themselves because they're an adult. But both parents do need to be in agreement about their child becoming a state national. It's not like I'm going to do this to get custody over my kid because me and my kid are state nationals and the mom's not or the dad's not or whatever. Like, it's not about infringing on someone else's rights, especially the other parent of your child's rights.
Definitely.
It's more about the protection and safety of your child and both of the parents. And so the parents do need to be in agreement. If one of the parents does not want the kid to be a state national, then you would need to wait until the kid is able to make that decision themselves.
Yep.
And then we do have the AORs, all of the children AORs for all of the different ages on our website.
On the monthly membership and the silver.
Oh, we're gonna go through all the memberships and everything that goes with it. We have a lot of ground to cover.
Yours is
I
quiet.
know. Speak up, Steve.
Yes, yours
You're
is
far
pretty quiet.
away. You're quiet.
I got
tell
quiet?
you earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty
better.
quiet on that one.
Yeah, you
Is
have
it-
a lot of background noise, like laundry or something, and then you got all quiet.
I got a window open.
I didn't hear the background noise, but
I did.
It got a little quiet on this.
So I'm unattractive. I should wear hats and I make a lot of noise.
I know you're slacking, Steve.
Jesus Christ.
Gosh.
Why'd you even have me on tonight?
We were debating
Well, at
that.
least you're not on your phone. God.
No. No. My boyfriend doesn't text me after 7 p.m.
That's good, because your wife wouldn't like that.
She's on her way home. She just texts me, so that's.
21 again, like Gwen, ruthless.
I know. Just say whatever. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
So listen,
He keeps bringing it up. I'm rolling along with it.
I'm hurt. To be honest with you, I've never been this
I
hurt.
said sorry earlier. It wasn't my intention to be hurtful.
Don't believe.
I'm not really hurt.
I've been around her for a while, Steve.
I'm not sorry anymore. I'm sorry earlier.
It's always intentional.
So my window is closed. Is that what you're saying? All right, listen. So, Ashley, do you want to keep going? Because we're at about an hour right now. Do you want to cut this off and finish this up?
Page of questions.
Yeah, I think this is a good point to wrap it up. And then on the next episode, we can go ahead and finish up all these questions.
We're on I. No big deal.
Which one is the?
So yeah.
Yeah, we left off. Is that the clapping thing?
Yeah.
So we left off on. I left a mark on mine, so we got to pick up on my page is L, like the becoming a state now.
Oh yeah, it's L. You're right. I didn't learn how to read. They never taught me.
That's okay. It's overrated anyway.
What up? I'm Jared. I'm 19, and I never fucking.
Actually, I had one-on-one teachers, Steve. I was such a troublemaker in school. I had a one-on-one teacher. No, I'm not even
really.
Bullshit. Yes, one-on-one. They were like, "Look,
you're special.
You're special. You're so special. We're going to give you one teacher.
We're going to give you
Miss Jan. She was from Ireland. She was like
Mrs. Doubtfire."
Very sweet and kind lady. She was a little Irish lady with fire.
Was it Robin Williams in drag?
Your mom's name?
Oh yeah, Jan Janelle.
And Miss Jan. She was super cool. That's why I'm so smart, bro. I was trained by one lady.
I was going to say, Kenny said she's the only reason he knows how to do math the other day.
The timetables.
Yeah, she
I'm going to tell you something right now. Those of us who got in trouble as kids, I look at that now, because I was always in trouble as a child. I look at that now, and like my skepticism and my lack of like regard or respect for authority, I wear it as like a badge of honor now, because I've never bought into the bullshit. Never, ever.
Now your life has purpose, because you realize all those things that you thought were obstacles and were, oh, I'm so bad. You realize that these are your greatest achievements.
I've been blessed this whole time.
Yeah.
God fucked me in the facial department. I am not much to look at, but I have the willpower of a
You have to push it down.
I have the willpower of a constipated rhinoceros. I'll put it that way.
You're funny. I love it, Steve. Keep it up.
All right. So we'll wrap it up for tonight. And then we'll pick this back up whenever my bosses tell me is really what this comes down to.
Get a hat in the mail.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to lie. I've asked for it at this point. Now she's
your hair is amazing, Steve. Don't let this little hater judge you.
Well, you see this line right here? I have sun poisoning, so it looks like I have two foreheads. I look like, who's the guy from Star Trek The Next Generation? Worf, the Klingon? He's got like discolored heads. I feel like that's what I look like.
That's funny.
So
send me a fucking hat.
All the way back there? Like,
when I salute the flag, I salute back here. This is why I started shaving my head.
We're going to have to get them back. They want to keep running their mouths, bro. I got jokes too.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Gwen, I'm going to accept you sending me a hat as a gift. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to allow you to send. But here's what I want. I want before you wait.
Now
you guys
trying to get requests on a gift. You're like, let me customize my gift.
Oh yeah, I'm such a Puerto Rican. I'm such a Puerto Rican. You open this door. Good luck shutting it. Listen, so you guys don't ship the products personally, do you?
No,
our partner does.
What would be fantastic is if you sent me one of the black hats, but Gwen could sign the rim of the hat, Gwen's bitch, and then send me that hat. And I'll wear that on the show.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
that would be so funny.
I might have if we have a black one and I find it, I'll ship it, because
your
I have
wife
a black
would be
one.
like, Steve's my bitch, not Gwen's bitch.
No.
I have so many of these hats.
She's dying to pass me off to somebody else.
I don't want you to be passed off to me. I'm not the candidate for that.
I can't really tell.
Kenny,
I wear these hats out so bad. I have to.
Kenny, send me. I'm going to go online. I'm going to buy the same hat that Kenny has. We could wear matching hats every week.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
we'll
I
wear
was
matching.
genuinely just looking at Kenny, and I was like, dang, the hat looks all cool with his headphone. And then I was like, Steve, it fucking looks like you're missing the hat.
It will. Listen, I'm going to
backwards. You know.
No. It would look more symmetrical and uniform if we both were wearing the same hat.
You took it fucking personally, and that's not my problem.
No, that's what I'm saying. I have the shirt. No, but I'm saying, like, you look like a family. I look like a stray fucking dog you picked up in Haiti. Okay, I need to get my shit together.
We all know there's no stray dogs in Haiti.
well, they're in the sewage system at this point. They've been passed along.
Like, clearly, we figured that shit out in Ohio real quick. It only took like 1 month, and everybody found out they fucking eat dogs and cats. Or like barbecuing.
I had a buddy of mine reach out to me today. He's like, "Hey," he goes, "for your podcast," he goes, "do you guys want to cover like a variety of things, or just going to be state national?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, if you give us a conspiracy theory, we will give you the reality of the situation. I said, Kenny brings receipts. He does the research. I'm like, I'm basically here because nobody wants to host the show. Ashley and Gwen are here, so everyone's got something to look at. I'm like, we all have our responsibilities.
You're so funny. No, you're hilarious. We really appreciate you being on, and we appreciate all the hard work you've done to become who you are.
I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me because this is it's fun for me. Number one, number two, and to me, because I'm still learning, this is like another way so I can keep learning. Like to me, this is educational instead of just reading. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like to me, there's just endless benefits to this. That, and I got to be honest with you, any way that I can help contribute for all the knowledge and information that you folks have passed down to me and have helped me and my wife with, the least I could do is help you as however I can with the podcast. I don't mind doing the editing. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like this is absolutely fun for me. I love it.
You're a head educator.
Yeah, you're the head one.
When you're an educator, what most people don't realize is it doesn't mean that you know everything. It's actually the exact opposite. You're just someone who's worked really hard to get that experience. And then what people don't realize is just like parenting. You learn so much through the process of being an educator because you are constantly answering people's questions. Like the only reason I know all these answers is because I help people in emails every single day answering their questions. And if I don't know, I go ask Kenny. And if Kenny don't know something, he comes and asks me. And then if I don't know something, I go ask, and Kenny don't know, like I'll ask Gwen. Like we all have our own part to contribute. And when I look at it, like when I look at this is what we're giving back to the collective community, because this isn't for the benefit of me or Kenny or Gwen.
Yeah.
Like let me tell you, when we had our salon, we had a way easier life. Like I was thinking.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Every day. Like I wake up every day and I have a list and I do the list. Well, when we worked at the salon, if I had one appointment for the day, I went to work, I did my one appointment, and then I came home and I was like done with work for the day, right? Like the work never ends for us.
We work a lot more now, definitely. Yeah. It's the ministry than we did owning our own business.
But let me ask you this.
Way more money. It's
do
just
you
keeping it going.
Do you consider this work though? Like, does this feel like work for you?
It feels like our sole purpose, to be honest, and it keeps.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
More into the sole purpose, and the more we keep, it's just like we're falling in line. And it was very scary for us to do this because we literally gave up everything we had to do it. But yeah, it feels like our sole purpose, just like you knew in your heart you had to do it. It's like that. We know, and as you keep looking, and as I found it, like, oh my gosh, I was like, yeah, it is our sole purpose because now I know what they're going to do to us, and I see their plans.
Not us specifically, like
the collective, the world, not just America, but the whole world.
It's funny. The one question I get a lot is when I tell people that we're doing a podcast and how much I studied. They're like, "Are you getting paid to do this?" I go, "I don't think you people understand this." I go, "This isn't about money. I don't," and I mean this with all sincerity. I've argued with bosses about this. I don't give a shit about money. I don't. If you care about what you do and you put your time and your heart and your energy, it's something that you're putting positivity out into the universe. You'll get rewarded. You'll get rewarded down the line anyway. I don't chase money. That's not a thing for me. I could care less.
The reward is loving what you do. Like money doesn't make people happy. You could have all the money in the world and be miserable. I've seen it working in the salon industry, working with people that have a lot of money. Money doesn't bring happiness. It's the action of every day being in love with life that is the most rewarding thing. And I could absolutely say that, yes, every day I'm in love with my life. I love what I do. I love the planning that we do for the future, what we're working on for the collective, because we're co-creating a reality of what we really want this world to be by being the change. And we actually live it. We don't just say it, we live it.
Yeah, we do live it. And if the podcast ever does generate revenue, you will be in equal partners for
I
it.
gotta say that word revenue. That's such a dirty word.
It is a dirty ass word.
Don't,
See, we're
we
all
don't generate revenue.
You know what I mean? If it
I don't
ever
even care
does
about that,
generate
man.
anything, it will split evenly because we use ours to forward the ministry. You can use yours however, but that would be the truth.
No, I don't want to ever actually put ads and commercials on the podcast. This podcast is going to remain pure, and it's not here to make any money.
The second you take money from somebody,
I don't know anything.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's a fucking scam. The second you get someone that pays to be an advertiser on your podcast, you are, like my hat is going to say, a bitch.
Well,
because
you never be like that. So
you don't need it.
I personally listen to podcasts that are cut with multiple different advertisements, and I fucking hated it.
Yeah, we'll never put advertisements. I wasn't saying
it's
that.
commercials.
When people pay and to support, they want a little 15-second, 20-second commercial in the middle of your freaking podcast, and that's what they do.
No,
And
what
it's
I would
really
do, I would do a Patreon account and just tell people, look, if you want to donate, if you want to kick into the show, here's our Patreon account.
I'm sure Patreon even cuts stuff out. We would just do a Clover link with a donation.
Clover link.
Yeah, we can put something on the website. But the truth is, like, just what we really want people to do is to be able to take action. This is not to like necessarily donate to us. But to take action, that would be the donation, is the energy exchange of please be the change you want to see and take this information and everything that we're sharing and to be the change and shine your light so that someone in your community, because it takes more than just me, Kenny, Gwen, Steve doing this. It takes all of us taking action for something to change. Because if nobody changes their actions or their thoughts, like the same day will happen, like Groundhog's Day, over and over again. So that's really what needs to happen. But we are working on a donation-based healing center and education center. And one day in the future, we may be asking for donations for that. And that's a whole nother story, though. But that's going to be something that, like we said, a donation-based center. So it's not even, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But,
so people can come and actually experience the change.
Go ahead, Ashley. Take it away.
I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in on our episode 2 of State National Rocks podcast. Thanks for being the change you want to see. And remember that evil prevails when good people do nothing. So if we don't make a different choice and take a different action and have different thoughts, then the next day is just going to be the same as the day before. And if we want the world to change, we have to do something about it.
Where's my checkbook?
Thank y'all. And we look forward to our next episode.
Yeah. Gwen, any words of wisdom? Parting knowledge?
She basically summed it up. Thank y'all.
That was
for
pretty goddamn eloquent. That was good.
Yes.
I know.
Kenny, I think you and I dug a big enough hole for us.
Yeah, we did, playing around. Yeah.
Kenny and I should.
Anything to say, Steve?
No, I've already put both of my own feet in somebody else's foot in my mouth in the last 5 minutes. I'm good. Guys, have a great week. We'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I'll send the link to my OnlyFans.
Have a great week.
Yes. Have a blessed week. Take care, everybody.
This has been the
Guys,
SNR Podcast, where freedom for the mind, body, and soul takes center stage. Our goal is to break down the system and expose the truth, and to give you tools to heal, like meditation and breath work. And at the center of it all, we're having a blast. On behalf of Kenny, Steve, Ashley, and Gwendolyn, we thank you so much for coming over, and we hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But learn how to find us over on Linktree at State Nationals Rock. See you next time on the SNR Podcast.